If you want to excel in business, there's actually a great teacher out there. And I was having cocktails here in North Carolina last night with someone who made about 200 million in real estate development 25 to 30 years ago. And most recently is in the steel industry and all kinds of other things. Ultimately, he has created a tremendous amount of value in the private capital markets, both in real estate and entrepreneurship, private businesses. And the thing that's interesting is that it was during that discussion that one of the truths that came out over my 25 years as an entrepreneur came out, and he said it so well that I want to share it here. And I think that ultimately people today tend to want something for nothing, right? In other words, there's a lot of time and attention given to how do I acquire a business with zero money out of pocket? How do I acquire a business that I don't have to work on or work in at all and just hire a manager and walk away? And I'm very loud with saying that I think that most of the time approaching the industry in this fashion is completely the wrong approach. If you don't know, my name is Walker Diable. I'm author of Buy Then Build, creator of Acquisition Lab. I bought a little over 16 million in revenue over 7 companies over the course of a decade and sort of grew them from there. And have consulted on over 200 transactions in the private capital markets. And, I always say to people, if you're if you're like trying to quit your W-2 job and like buy a business, don't try to do it with no money out of pocket. Don't try to do it and, put a manager in place who's now an employee and you've got, a personal guaranteed debt or whatever on it. You need to be able to create value. Ultimately, the fundamental thing you need to do is be able to create value, whether that be in real estate or in businesses. Ultimately, it's about playing in the private capital market, taking risks, right? And getting the capital the way that you can. And what lenders and sellers want to see more and more and more is that you are willing to have some kind of skin in the game. And I was talking to this gentleman who had created this tremendous amount of wealth and he said to me, Walker, and he smiled with a twinkle in his eye, and he said, there's no better teacher than personally guaranteed debt. And the thing is we talk about that a lot in Acquisition Lab. There's a lot of media out there, a lot of headlines talking about how good it is to buy companies and all the rest of it. And it is. It's a great way to get into entrepreneurship, to have a platform of being able to create value, to have a platform to being able to grow through acquisition, to acquire talent, all of these different things, for equity buildup, all these things, right? But the thing is that you need to understand that acquisition entrepreneurship is not a passive investment, okay? This is something where the odds of you taking on personally guaranteed debt are very, very high, okay? The odds of you needing to have some skin in the game are very, very high. And, if your goal is to go out and buy a house with a 100% seller note amortized over 30 years, good luck trying to find someone to do that. It happens, but I always say in the lab, raise your hand if you want to sell your house on a 100% seller note over 30 years to a buyer with no money down, nothing to you. No one raises their hand. It happens, but that's a terrible strategy for going out to buy your first house. Wouldn't you agree? Because it's not how the market works. You find houses that are for sale with willing sellers, and you go get a bank loan, and you personally guarantee it, and that loan is generally based on your income, your cash flow, and that's how a deal gets done. And so I've really created, I've spent a lot of time in the sub $25 million markets because that's been the place with very little sophistication and a great way to add value in the market. And so that's where I've largely been focused. And when you're focused in the sub $25 million transactions, this is what you're talking about. You're talking about 6 figures maybe less. It depends on the size, right? But you're talking about a 6-figure cash infusion. It can come from investors. There's ways to do that. And then you're talking about like a 80 to 90% personally guaranteed loan. And you might be able to shave a little piece of that away with some kind of seller note, but most seller notes are also personally guaranteed. They're just in second position to the lender, okay? What I advise is do not want something for nothing. Be willing to put your name on the line. Be willing to take that risk and be willing to jump in and operate and grow and add value, okay? There are other ways to do it, okay? I understand and I know how they work. But the thing is I just think that there's way too many people trying to do things for free. And when I look at entrepreneurs and startups, what I see more often than anything else, most startups, okay, are from entrepreneurs who are willing to spend other people's money taking risks that they wouldn't be taking with their own money, all while making a salary. When you practice acquisition entrepreneurship, you are putting your capital at risk, you're putting your name at risk, and you're going out there and making it happen. And in my experience, the best way to not walk away and to create value is by burning the boats, jumping in, and making it happen. And so I think that you need to be very comfortable with understanding that you're going to be taking on that debt. And then when times get bad, you do things like I do. You cut your salary for a while, keep the loan payments going to the bank, build up that equity, continue creating value in the business. Now, I'm not saying this is a common occurrence in my history, but it happens. There's all kinds of economic cycles that go on, all kinds of things that occur. And during the Great Recession, I had to lay off a bunch of people. I had to furlough a bunch of people, and I took my salary to zero. I wanted to feel the pain more than my employees because I felt like that was my responsibility. In the meanwhile, the balance sheet was being handled just fine by the cash flows that were able to come in. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about managing people, managing businesses, growing through innovation and acquisition during that time. And I just loved it last night when he said the best teacher is personally guaranteed debt. If this video scared you, good, because that's actually what it takes to succeed in this space. But if it didn't, and you are wanting to get into entrepreneurship, learn about how buying businesses is the fastest way to millions of dollars in revenue, and that you can acquire them with bank loans, and you want to execute this in the next 6 to 24 months, check out the Acquisition Lab. We're the premier accelerator for acquisition entrepreneurs, world-class education, vetted community, obviously all the resources, tools, supplier directories that you need, as well as extensive group coaching from about a dozen acquisition entrepreneurs who've been doing this for a large amount of time. And we've got almost daily calls, and then every 2 weeks I run the search forum where we go deep on your deal. So check it out, acquisitionlab.com. Apply now, have a strategy session, and we'll see you on the inside. Thanks.